All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone signing on today. We have quite a few people attending this session, so we're going to give everyone just one extra minute to sign on. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Hello, everyone. It's exciting to meet you all. My name is Andrea, and I'm on Quora's product marketing team. I am a former Quora Ads specialist, and during that time, I helped onboard a number of international brands onto the Quora Ads Manager, so I'm really excited and looking forward to sharing some of that knowledge with all of you today.
And I myself used to be a former marketer in various companies handling their marketing campaigns across different channels. But again, today I'm very excited to share with you just the features of the Quora Ads Manager and the Quora Ads platform overall.
Definitely. Now, we have a lot of content planned for all of you today, but we did want to start off with a few housekeeping items first. The first thing is that this webinar will not be recorded, so you are welcomed and encouraged to take notes during this session. Toby and I also have some resources chosen, so we'll send that out to you on the right-hand side throughout this whole session. And of course, there is a possibility that we may go right up to that 30-minute mark. So just in case that happens, we're not able to do a live Q&A, we've actually partnered with our ad support team so that our team of ad specialists can help answer your questions. If you are interested in getting in touch with one of our ad specialists, you can go ahead and click this link right over there. You'll be directed to our ad support form, but underneath what can we help you with, go ahead and select webinar support. Your questions will be answered by one of our specialists within one business day. So go ahead, open that tab up in a new tab, and then go ahead and come back here. I believe we have mostly everyone. We're about 1 minute in. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Now, for everyone attending today, you have some context into what we're going to be covering from your email invitations, but we do want to briefly go over the types of contents and topics that we're going to go over today and what we're not particularly going to cover. After that, Toby's going to walk us through some audience insights so that you get to better understand who's on Quora. And then, of course, we're going to spend a majority of our time in an actual Ads Manager account just so we can highlight some best practices and some nuances that might be important for you to know. Now, when it comes to this particular session, it's really geared towards any first-time Quora Ads users. In particular, anyone who has probably had experience using other ads managers in the past. We do want to mention some of the small things that make Quora different. And then also, as we mentioned before, we do want to walk you through an actual ads manager so you can actually visualize what these differences look like. And of course, if you just wanted to see how we would set up our own campaigns on Quora, this is a perfect time to do so. That being said, we will not be covering any digital advertising basics in today's conversation. And on the other hand, if you are already using Quora Ads, quite a few of these topics are going to be familiar to you already. But of course, if you want to stick around just for a bit of a refresher, you're more than welcome to stay. Now, lastly, we will not be covering over Quora's advertising policies or the Quora Pixel in this conversation. However, if you are interested in these topics, you can visit Quora.com/business. That is the Quora for Business website, and underneath the resources tab, you're going to find a number of different guides about Quora, our advertising policies, and the Quora Pixel. But with that being said, Toby, can you tell us a little bit more about the users that these businesses are going to find on Quora?
Sure thing. So when we look at Quora, we see a platform that reaches over 300 million monthly unique visitors worldwide. Some of our top markets where most of our users are include the United States, India, Canada, the UK, and Australia, New Zealand. However, as mentioned, Quora does reach a global audience, so basically anyone in the world going to Quora.com is eligible to see your ads. But what really does make Quora unique as a platform is the quality of the audience that we offer you as businesses. So as we can see from here, we have some general demographic information related to our overall gender and age of the Quora Ads user, but the most important part is what we see here on the right-hand side. 20% of Quora users are most likely to be people who are in charge of authorizing a business purchase decision on behalf of their company or an organization, making it a great platform for your solution to be top of mind for users who are exploring various options for what they're looking for. In addition, around half of Quora users report a very high household income of over 100K, making us a great place for some brands and some businesses who do look for more premium quality customers that are interested in products. Finally, 63% of Quora users report using Quora to conduct research before they make major online purchases. So in that sense, you know that you are in the best platform where people are basically searching for more information and evaluating between different solutions or different options for what they're looking for at any given time. What this all means is that Quora is a great place to be a part of your omni-channel marketing strategy that you've developed at running across different channels. As a former marketer myself, I like to think that Quora fits perfectly in the intersection between social channels and search channels with some of the best characteristics of both. Quora offers really high intent that typically is more seen with search traffic, as well as just the general readiness to make a decision and readiness to convert very, very soon in the part of their purchasing funnel. At the same time, we offer the scalability of many social platforms that allows you to really be there when users are first encountering a problem and really haven't made up their minds yet. So with all this being said, we see that Quora can fit really nicely in this mid-funnel segment between the top and the bottom of your marketing funnel. At the very top, for instance, if you are a SaaS solution looking to manage remote work teams and helping companies achieve that goal, when people are just looking and just browsing and evaluating different solutions, that is completely possible at the very top of the questions, top of the funnel, that is, where they're asking these questions. Meanwhile, if, say, you're wanting to reach users who are just about ready to sign up for that demo or that trial, that is also entirely possible to reach them on Quora with very specific granular questions, as we see in the bottom. For instance, if you are running against one of your biggest competitors, someone might be comparison shopping between both of them, and Quora is a great place to put your ad to try to convince that user to go with your solution. I'm going to turn the time now back to Andrea so that she can talk a little bit more about setting up some campaigns.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Toby. Now, we are going to get into the highlight of our conversation for today. But before we dive into that, we're really curious to know what all of you plan to do on Quora. Are you here to generate leads for your business? Are you here for traffic initiatives? So just to help us understand what you guys are here for, we're going to go ahead and send out one poll. You'll see it on the right-hand side of your screen. So let us know, like, what are you planning to do on Quora? And hopefully the demonstration we have for you is going to align with that. So we'll go ahead and give everyone just a few more seconds to submit their answers. And in the meantime, we're going to give you some context into the account that we're going to take a look at. We are going to be looking through the account of the fictional travel brand Q Smart Travel. And in their case, they're really looking for conversions. So to best exemplify this, let's go ahead and take a look at their account. Go ahead and get that set up. Now, this is probably going to be a familiar view for some of you. I do believe everyone here does have a Quora Ads account, so hopefully you've already seen or poked around to see what options we have. But in the case of Q Smart Travel, we're going to go ahead and create their first campaign right up here. Now, aside from naming your campaigns, the first thing you're going to see when you create a new one is the objective. And this is Quora Insider Tip number 1. The objective you choose on this page is not going to impact the way that your ads perform, nor is it going to impact the cost of your ads. Objectives on Quora essentially determine what our interface shows you on the dashboard and in some parts of your ad sets and ads. So for example, Q Smart Travel wants to measure purchase conversions. So if they were to install the purchase pixel on their website, which is highly recommended for any performance marketer, all they would have to do is choose the pixels that they've installed on their website and select conversions. What this does is that on their main dashboard, they're going to automatically see columns dedicated to purchase conversions. Now, on the other hand, if you are doing app install campaigns and you're working with one of our mobile measurement partners, you do need to choose the app install campaign objective to append your link in to make sure the integration is set up correctly. Other things you might notice for an app install campaign are that your ad sets are set to mobile targeting only. We'll get into that in a little bit. And the last objective that changes the interface is lead generation. So if you're on Quora to use our native lead gen forms, you do need to create a lead gen campaign in order to access those forms. But for now, let's go ahead and stick with conversions and talk about your budget. Now, the first thing you're going to see here is the daily maximum budget, and this is what we always recommend to our business partners. Lifetime budgets on Quora are optional. You do not need to have them, but we stress the daily budget mostly because this is what our system prioritizes. We will try to evenly pace your budget throughout the day, but it is possible for your daily budget to be hit at the end of the day. So do make sure that you're monitoring this as you're optimizing your performance. If you do decide to use a lifetime campaign, definitely pair it with a daily budget. If you decide to use a lifetime budget without a daily maximum, what ends up happening is that our system can spend your lifetime budget within a few hours or days, depending on what your targeting looks like. So end story here, always have a daily maximum budget. Then after that, all you have to do is set your campaign to start automatically, or you can have it scheduled for another time. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look back at those poll results. And Toby, can you tell us a little bit more about what those results look like?
Sure thing. So as we look at the results here, it looks like 73% of you say that conversions is the main objective that your business is going for. This is actually great because as a performance marketing platform, we do want to pride ourselves on allowing businesses like yours to achieve whether lead gen objectives or conversion objectives, demo requests, purchases, whatnot. We have quite a few features on the Quora Ads platform that allows you to find the perfect audience that ideally would help you convert. So with that being said, let me just share my screen here. So once you've created your campaign, you've set up your daily budgets, which is, as Andrea mentioned, a very, very important insider tip. We go into the ad set creation flow. Here we see as soon as we get into this flow, the first thing that you get to select is your location targeting. This is another Quora insider tip, but basically when you do not select a location, you are targeting your ad to be seen by our global audience. What this means is that if you only want your ad to be seen by, say, people in the United States or Canada, you do have to specify so up here. If you would like to show to a global audience, but barring a few specific countries, you can also do so by leaving this blank and using the excluded locations feature. With that being said, next we're going to talk about primary targeting. This is basically the main form that you'll use in order to really see what part of the Quora audience you want to hit and to specify who you want your ads to be shown to. We have four main forms of primary targeting: contextual, audience, behavioral, and broad. I know these are a little bit jargony, so let's break each of these down so that we can talk about them further. First off, and the most popular form of targeting we have is our topic targeting option. Whenever you are on Quora and you're looking at all the different questions on Quora, you'll find that every question is usually tagged with a few different topics at the very, very top. What this is it's our internal system to categorize each of these questions. For instance, when we have a lot of questions that are, say, related to Croatia or traveling in Croatia, we have that specified up here. And I like to think of these topics a little bit like Instagram hashtags. When you target a topic targeting ad set, your ads can display in a few different locations throughout the Quora site. First off, on every question tagged with the topic, you can display here in the question ad placement. You can also display on, say, the topic that you're targeting. So if you're targeting the topic air travel, you are eligible to show up in this topic page as well, as we see right here. Finally, when a user is just browsing through their normal feed, if you're targeting a topic ad set and they have been found to be looking at information related to that topic, your ad is also eligible to render on the user's feed. Topic targeting is, again, the most popular form of targeting on Quora. However, there are a few different options in case you would like to go a little bit more granular or a little bit more broader with your audience. First off, and one of the few things that I would like to talk more about is our keyword targeting option. Note that keyword targeting on Quora is very different from how it is on Google or other search engine sources. On Quora, keyword targeting is essentially a form of bulk question targeting. This means that if you are targeting certain keywords, such as air travel, or say flying to Europe, then this means that your ad is only eligible to show up in this ad placement on question pages for questions that need to have either air travel in the question text as a phrase or the words flying to Europe in any order on the question page. So again, just to reiterate, keyword targeting on Quora is very different from Google. On Quora, keyword targeting means that you are targeting only questions and you are only eligible to show up on the question page itself. Similar to that, we have question targeting, which allows you to target those specific questions that you are looking for. Note that when you're targeting questions on Quora, most questions typically have a very limited number of weekly impressions. So we recommend that you either target a list of high impression questions, or you target a lot of questions to get the scale that you need to run a viable campaign. So once again, what contextual targeting means is that your ad is showing up in places where your user is looking up the information that you are specifying at that time. In contrast, behavioral targeting is targeting users based on what content they have looked at on Quora in the last 30 days or a certain time frame specified in some of the other options under this category. First off, we have interest targeting, which is very similar to topic targeting, by the sense that you can target anyone who has looked at content related to a certain category area in the last 30 days. You can also be more specific with this and only target users who have looked at questions that contain specific keywords in the last 30 days, in the last 2 weeks, last 15 days, whatnot. Or you can target only people who have read specific questions in a certain time frame. There are certain bulk functionalities to these features in the keyword and question that allow you to add groups of questions at once so that you can find the most relevant and most viable questions to target. Finally, the last two and easier to explain methods of targeting on Quora are industry standard audience targeting options, which includes, say, if you set up a pixel, you can target a remarketing audience, or you can upload a list match audience for a list of emails and form a lookalike based off of that. Finally, our broad targeting option allows you to target basically anyone who fits any of the other targeting criteria that you specify on this page. Now, before I continue with this part, I do want to highlight one insider tip and a great little trick. If you have already built an ad set and you'd like to copy your main targeting method or your secondary targeting methods, you could easily do so using the import ad set tool. So as we see here in the case of Q Smart Travel, our fictional advertiser, they want to target anyone who's looking up information on visiting and travel, hotels, tourism, whatnot. We see here that they do have a potential weekly impression metric, and this allows you to see just around how big your audience size is. This will get either bigger or smaller depending on how narrow or broad your targeting options are. All right, so after we go through that first half of the page, you'll notice that there are additional targeting levers that you can manipulate to really hone in on your target customer here. First off, we do have a device target, which allows you to only target either, say, mobile devices or only desktop devices. You can also target specific browsers in this case. After you do that, you do have the option to target only specific genders on Quora. In this case, we do use an ML heuristic based on the user's name. And if you choose to use this, then you do have to check this terms and conditions box that attests and affirms that you are not using this function for any illegal purposes, basically pursuant to many laws based on targeting. Finally, we do also offer the option to exclude specific questions or audiences as well. So for instance, if you have a converted customers list, you can easily exclude them using the excluded audience feature. Finally, for the secondary targeting section, we do offer what we call our email targeting option. In this case here, we see the option to include or to not include your ad in the Quora Digest email. The Quora Digest is a periodic newsletter we send out to our users. So you do have the option of being included in that or to remove yourself from it. Note that whenever you choose to run in the Quora Digest, you will also be subject to users who fit your other targeting criteria up here. So right here, we're going to also take a pause, and I have a sheet prepared right over here to show you and just summarize all the targeting options that we just walked through. All right, so now let's talk about bidding and how to get your ads to be competitive and show up on pages. On Quora Ads, we have three main ways that you can bid to have your ads shown: CPC, CPM, and CPA targeting, aka optimized for conversions. Another insider tip that is very, very important to note is that we strongly recommend you do not start running a campaign with optimized for conversions. The reason for this is that in order for that option to work well, the algorithm typically requires a minimum of 20 conversions per ad set per week. If you start by running this without any conversion data already in the campaign, then the algorithm does find it difficult to display and deliver your ads at all. And so for this reason, we typically recommend starting your campaign with either CPC or CPM. You also notice here that when you select your bid, you do have a suggested bid. I would say use this feature as a metric for directionality to see approximately what would be a good competitive bid to be. However, this metric is prone to fluctuation and will change from time to time, depending on two main factors. The first factor is real-time auction conditions. So depending on how much competition you have for your targeting at any given time, this could change every so often. The more important factor though, and another insider tip, is that click-through rate has a very heavy weight in determining what the CPC you pay will be. Andrea will talk about this a little bit later on when we're talking about ad formats, but it is to your best advantage to bid competitively and also to aim your ad to have the highest click-through rate possible. General bidding advice that we tend to give our businesses is that you want to bid your true value of a click, because what this does is that it enables you to really show up to the high quality audience you want. So it's best to provide the most competitive bid that you're willing to pay as a business, rather than bidding too low to start off with and not having enough impressions. I'm going to take a very quick pause here before Andrea shows how to create an ad.
All right, thank you, Toby. Now, before we move on to the ad creative, I definitely want to give a shout out to Toby for choosing the specific handout. If you haven't downloaded it already, it's going to be on your right-hand side. We hear a lot of these questions from businesses about what targeting type works best for a specific goal. And really what we found on Quora is that different businesses have their own different strategies. There aren't exactly specific targeting types that always guarantee conversions or always guarantee traffic, because everyone so far has found and tested different strategies for themselves. So we definitely encourage you to have an open mind when it comes to targeting on Quora, because who knows, if you're used to using SEO and keywords, you might actually find success with targeting types that are more traditionally associated with social. But of course, let's go ahead and look at your ads. Now, as Toby mentioned, it's really important to keep in mind that your CTR is going to really help you when it comes time to do your bids. It is harder to come back from a very low click-through rate. So I guess my first tip is definitely to continue optimizing your ads after you start your campaign. So typically we tend to do this maybe 2 to 4 weeks after a campaign starts. And as you can see here, I have 2 ads in this ad set. The reason why we always have 2 to 4 ads per ad set in Quora is because we do optimize towards the best performing ad. This is one way for you to see which ads are performing best. But again, we're just really optimizing the structure of the campaign to make sure that you're getting that high click-through rate. Now, for actually creating your ads, as you can see right here, we do have 3 main formats on Quora. And before I go into them, I'm really curious to know which one you guys think has the highest average CTR. So I am going to go ahead and send out this poll. So judging by their names alone, let us know which one you think has the highest performance. You might pick up on it as we go through them, but with that, let's go ahead and actually take a look at the ads. To do this, I'm going to use this use existing ad copy button just to bring over an ad that we've already created. And as you can see here, this is a great example of what one of our image ads would look like on Quora. We have your logo, headline, body text, hero image, and CTA. And one thing you might notice right away is that the ad on Quora is not title cased. This is very important to mention because in our users' cases, users on Quora are more receptive to ad creatives that look similar to the content they already see on our platform. So with that being said, some things that businesses have found success with are using questions as headlines and making sure that generally they don't have any misspellings or whatnot. So that's why for our ad policies, really quickly, you are required to use grammatically correct English. And title casing can only apply to your business name or a product name. Now, one other thing you can pay attention to with image ads is this little notification right here. If you noticed during Toby's walkthrough, when he was on that question page, there were no image ads. And that is because on question pages, text ads perform better than image. So we automatically have those pages set for text ads only. If you do run an image ad, it's always a good idea to check what it looks like as a text ad and to make sure that your message makes sense without the image there. That's just going to be one quick way you can optimize your campaigns for the Quora audience specifically. One other thing I do want to highlight is our URL section. So a common question we get is whether or not we support UTM tracking parameters, and the answer is yes. If you're using Google Analytics or if you're working with a mobile measurement partner, this is a great opportunity for you to add those hyperlinks here. And that is always recommended just because it doesn't hurt to have additional metrics on your side. Now, before I go on to our last format, I'm actually going to go ahead and check back on those poll results. And it looks like, for the most part, some results are still coming in. Generally, you guys have said that image ads will have the highest click-through rate. And you guys are almost right. If you were to compare image ads to text ads, then yes, image ads do typically tend to have about a 1% click-through rate, and we normally tend to see lower click-through rates for text ads. However, if we compare image ads to promoted answer, there's a little bit of a different story. So promoted answers, as you can see on the right-hand side, are the most native ad unit on Quora. You are actually using an answer as your ad, and these are very easy to set up. You can take the answer URL from your own profile, a colleague's profile, or even a business profile. And once you have that link, you are all good to go. But going back to that click-through rate, the clicks that the ads manager measures for promoted answers is this click to read the answer. If you have any hyperlinks in the content itself, clicks on these links will not be measured. So we do strongly recommend putting UTM trackers here. That is a bit of a writing tip for you as well. Now for the very last ad unit, we also have lead gen forms. But if you recall from very early on, we do need to have a lead gen campaign in order to activate those forms. So we are going to go ahead and get that started. You would just create your campaign and your ad sets per usual for any lead gen forms. But the only difference here is that, of course, you do see that option to add a form instead of a URL. When you create your form here or in the lead gen tab, it is really important to make sure that your headline is clear. And by that, we mean stating exactly what users are going to get by sharing their information with you. Additionally, you do have to have a full and complete privacy policy with your lead gen form. Privacy policies should explain what data is collected from a user and how they can achieve or retrieve that information at a later time. But once you have that form set up and you have your ads created, you've pretty much completed your first Quora Ads campaign. So congratulations on getting that set up and also for going through this 30-minute session with us. We do realize, as we expected, we are very close to that time. So we do want to give another shout out to our team of ad specialists. So go ahead and share that link again now. Our ad specialists are standing by for your questions, so you can use this form. Make sure you submit your questions under webinar support, and you will get a response from our ad specialists within the next business day. But other than that, thank you so much again, everyone, for tuning in for today's session. We're really excited to have you on Quora, and we really look forward to your success on the platform. With that, have a great week.